A rocket lifts off from Florida. The engines burn. The crowd cheers. The screen says, "The future is here." But somewhere far from the launch pad, a kitchen light starts flickering. A hospital switches to backup power. A family loses air conditioning during a heat wave. And suddenly, one question becomes uncomfortable. How can America talk about Mars, moon bases, AI, and electric cars while the grid powering ordinary homes is aging and overloaded? How can we build reusable rockets but struggle to build enough transmission lines? Why do rockets get the cameras and the applause while transformers, substations, and power lines stay invisible until they fail? This story is not about being against space. Space matters. Satellites matter. Science matters. Exploration matters. But the deeper question is this: why does America find it easier to imagine life on Mars than to rebuild the infrastructure that makes life on Earth possible? Because without a reliable grid, there is no AI boom, no electric vehicle revolution, no modern hospital system, no advanced manufacturing comeback, no clean energy transition, and no safe summer during extreme heat. Everything depends on electricity. Your phone, your fridge, your job, your water, your internet, your heating, your cooling, your entire modern life. And that is the crisis. The electric grid is not an old system from the past. It is the foundation of everything America wants to build next. But demand is rising. Extreme weather is getting worse. Data centers need more power. New factories need more power. Old equipment is harder to replace. And the cost of failure is no longer just inconvenience. It can mean blackouts. It can mean hospitals under stress. It can mean families sitting in the dark while billionaires talk about colonies on other planets. So maybe the real question is not whether America should go to space. Maybe the real question is whether America can still keep the lights on while reaching for the stars. This is the story of the electric grid crisis. America wants to power the future, but first it has to fix the system that powers today. If you want more stories about the America left behind and the decisions that made it happen, subscribe to Vanished America. Here, we don't just show the story, we follow the money behind it.
The American grid was not designed for AI, electric vehicles, data centers, solar farms, battery plants, extreme heat, and constant digital dependence. It was designed for a more predictable country. Big power plants generated electricity. Long transmission lines moved it. Local distribution systems delivered it to homes and businesses. The model was centralized, steady, and easier to plan. But today the grid is being pulled in every direction at once. Renewable energy is growing, but wind and solar often need new transmission lines to reach the cities that consume power. Extreme weather is becoming a larger stress test. Heat waves push air conditioning demand higher. Winter storms can damage energy systems. Hurricanes can knock out local networks. Wildfires can force utilities to shut down lines. And now data centers are adding a new kind of pressure. The internet feels invisible. The cloud sounds weightless. AI feels like software. But physically, it is buildings full of servers, cooling systems, wires, backup generators, and massive electricity demand. Every AI model, video stream, search engine, and cloud service live somewhere in the real world. And the real world needs power around the clock. Then comes electrification. Cars are becoming electric. Heating is becoming electric. Factories need more electricity. Battery plants, semiconductor plants, and advanced manufacturing all need stable power. So the grid is no longer just supporting American life. It is becoming the battlefield for America's economic future. If the grid cannot expand, factories wait. If transmission lines cannot be built, clean energy gets stuck. If local systems cannot handle new demand, neighborhoods struggle. That is the contradiction. America wants to electrify everything, but the system carrying that electricity is often too slow, too old, and too overloaded to keep up. The grid crisis did not appear overnight. It is the result of decades of delay, underinvestment, fragmented responsibility, and political avoidance. Infrastructure rarely fails because of one dramatic mistake. It usually fails because everyone postponed the boring decision one more year. A transformer can work for decades. A line can be patched again and again. A substation can be repaired instead of replaced. And because the system still works most of the time, people assume everything is fine. But aging infrastructure hides its danger. It weakens slowly. Repairs become more frequent. Equipment becomes harder to replace. Outages become more expensive. Bottlenecks become more serious. And the system loses resilience. Many critical parts of the grid are old. Some transformers have been in service for decades. Some transmission corridors were built for a different energy map. Some distribution networks were never designed for today's heat, storms, or future demand. And replacing this equipment is not simple. Large transformers are massive, specialized, expensive, and slow to procure. If one fails, a replacement can take months or longer. That creates a hidden vulnerability. America depends on equipment that is essential but difficult to replace. At the same time, utilities face political pressure. Every upgrade costs money, and that cost often appears in electricity rates. People want reliability, but not higher bills. People want clean energy, but not transmission lines near their homes. People want modern infrastructure, but not construction, land disputes, permits, or rate increases. So the easiest decision is delay. Delay the line. Delay the substation. Delay the upgrade. Delay the conflict. Then years later, the system reaches a breaking point. This is why the grid is not only an engineering problem, it is a political problem. It is a financing problem. It is a permitting problem. And above all, it is a priority problem. For years, American electricity demand grew slowly. In some periods, it was almost flat. Appliances became more efficient. Lighting became more efficient. Heavy industry changed. And utilities could plan around stable growth. But that era is ending. The next American economy is much more power-hungry. AI data centers are the clearest example. A large data center can use as much electricity as a small city. And these facilities do not operate like normal offices. They run day and night. They need constant cooling. They need backup power. They cannot simply turn off when the grid is stressed. That means the AI boom is not only about chips, models, and software. It is about electricity. It is about land. It is about water for cooling. It is about transmission capacity. It is about whether local grids can handle massive new demand. Then there is the industrial comeback. Politicians keep promising. Chip factories, battery plants, electric vehicle production, defense manufacturing, clean energy supply chains. All of it needs power. A factory does not run on speeches. A semiconductor plant does not run on slogans. It runs on electricity. Then there's the clean energy transition. Wind and solar can produce huge amounts of power, but they need transmission to reach customers, and many clean energy projects are stuck waiting to connect to the grid. Finally, there is the ordinary home. More cooling, more devices, more electric cars, more heat pumps, more remote work, more digital dependence. So the grid is being asked to become bigger, cleaner, smarter, more resilient, and more secure at the same time. That is a massive challenge. And it is happening while the old system is already under stress. So why do rockets get so much attention while the grid stays invisible? Because rockets are spectacular. The grid is boring. A rocket launch has a countdown, fire, smoke, a destination, a hero shot, a mission patch. It looks like progress. A transmission line does not. A transformer replacement does not. A permitting hearing does not. Rockets give people a story. The grid gives people reliability. And reliability is hard to sell because people only notice it when it disappears. That is why rockets win the attention war. They represent ambition, national pride, the frontier, the next horizon, the idea that the future is happening right now. Space also fits the American myth. The moon, Mars, the asteroids, deep space. The pioneer spirit. These images are powerful, and space is not useless. Satellites support communication, navigation, weather forecasting, defense, farming, disaster monitoring, and science. So the point is not that space does not matter. The point is that space is easy to imagine while infrastructure is easy to ignore. A rocket launch turns technology into theater. A grid upgrade turns technology into paperwork. And politics loves theater. It loves announcements, dramatic images, and simple stories. A politician can stand in front of a rocket and say, "Look at the future." It is much harder to stand in front of a transformer and say, "This quiet machine prevented a blackout." But that quiet machine may matter more to ordinary life, because a rocket can inspire a country, but a grid keeps it alive. That is not how the system works. NASA, private space companies, defense programs, utilities, state regulators, and energy markets all operate through different structures. Cutting one space program tomorrow would not automatically rebuild every aging transformer in America. The grid is not controlled by one national switch. It is shaped by investor-owned utilities, public utilities, cooperatives, federal agencies, state regulators, regional operators, local governments, landowners, courts, and private investors. That is why modernization is so difficult. It is not one project, it is thousands of projects. It is not one budget, it is many budgets. It is not one decision maker. It is a maze of decision makers. And that maze weakens accountability. When a rocket launches, everyone knows who launched it. When a transmission line is delayed for 10 years, responsibility is spread across permits, regulators, lawsuits, planning rules, cost disputes, and local opposition. Everyone says they support reliability, but nobody wants to pay the full price or absorb the local conflict. That is the deeper problem. America does not lack technical knowledge. It lacks alignment. It lacks speed. It lacks political courage. It lacks the ability to treat the grid like a national mission. Space shows what happens when a country decides something is a symbol of the future. The grid shows what happens when something essential is treated like background maintenance. So this story is not literally about one budget line replacing another. It is about national imagination. It is about why moon base feels exciting, while a modern transmission network feels invisible. It is about why America can dream upward while neglecting the ground. The strange thing about the grid is that it sounds old, but it is actually the key to the future. Every major American ambition depends on it. AI depends on it. Advanced manufacturing depends on it. Electric vehicles depend on it. Clean energy depends on it. Healthcare depends on it. National security depends on it. The internet depends on it. Even space depends on it. Rockets are built in factories powered by the grid. Satellites are designed on computers powered by the grid. Launch facilities, control rooms, and communication systems all need electricity. So the grid is not the opposite of progress. It is the platform underneath progress. And if that platform is weak, everything built on top becomes unstable. That is why the grid crisis is not a small utility issue. It is the foundation of the next economy. If America wants AI leadership, it needs power. If it wants manufacturing, it needs power. If it wants electric cars, it needs power. If it wants clean energy, it needs transmission. If it wants resilient communities, it needs local systems that can survive storms, fires, floods, and heat. The grid is also the hidden infrastructure behind trust. When the lights turn on, people feel the system is stable. When the lights fail again and again, people feel nobody is in control. That is how infrastructure becomes political. Not because people read technical reports, but because they feel the failure in their own lives. They sit in the dark, they throw away food, they worry about medical devices, they pay higher bills, they lose confidence. And once trust is gone, it is harder to rebuild than a power line. Real progress would not mean abandoning space. It would mean bringing the same ambition back to Earth. Imagine if grid modernization had the same national energy as a moon mission. Imagine if America treated transmission lines, transformers, substations, storage, microgrids, and grid security as a serious national project. Imagine if the country said clearly, the 21st century will be electric, and we are going to build the infrastructure for it. That would mean faster transmission planning. It would mean replacing aging equipment before it fails. It would mean protecting hospitals, water systems, emergency services, and senior housing. It would mean hardening the system against storms, wildfires, heat waves, cyber attacks, and physical attacks. It would mean modernizing local distribution networks so neighborhoods can handle electric cars, heat pumps, rooftop solar, and local storage. It would mean reducing delays so new energy projects can actually connect. It would mean training the workers needed to build and maintain the system. It would mean making sure poorer communities are not left with the weakest infrastructure and longest outages. This kind of progress is not as cinematic as a rocket launch. It does not give one perfect image, but it may matter more for most people's lives. Because the real future is not only in space. It is whether your lights work, whether your hospital can operate, whether your city can survive extreme heat, whether your job, bank, phone, water, food, and home remain connected to the systems that keep life stable. That's not boring. That is civilization. Maybe the real space race is not only about reaching another planet. Maybe it is between the future we like to imagine and the future we are actually prepared to support. On one side, there is the glamorous future. Rockets, Mars colonies, moon bases, AI breakthroughs, satellite internet, billionaire visions. On the other side, there is the physical reality. Power lines, substations, transformers, permits, work crews, supply chains, utility bills, maintenance schedules, storm hardening, to backup systems. One future is easy to sell, the other is easy to postpone. But only one keeps the country functioning every day. And that is the uncomfortable truth. The future does not begin with a rocket. It begins with a working grid. If the grid fails, the future stops immediately. The AI server goes offline. The factory shuts down. The hospital switches to emergency mode. The traffic light dies. The phone stops charging. The home loses cooling. The modern world reveals how fragile it really is. So, yes, America can keep dreaming about space. It can keep building rockets. It can keep exploring. But if it cannot keep the lights on at home, then the dream begins to look hollow. Because a country is not advanced just because it can touch the stars. A country is advanced when ordinary people can trust the systems beneath their feet. And right now, that trust is being tested. America has always been good at dreaming upward. The moon, Mars, satellites, rockets, the next frontier, the next breakthrough. But every frontier needs a foundation. And one of America's most important foundations is aging in plain sight. The lights still turn on, so people assume the system is fine. The internet still works, so People assume the grid can handle the future. The air conditioner still runs, so people assume the risk is far away. But infrastructure failure often begins quietly. It begins with flickers. It begins with delays. It begins with equipment pushed too far. It begins with outages that become normal. It begins with bills rising while reliability feels less certain. It begins with a system that still works until the day it does not. So, the question is not whether America should stop dreaming about the stars. The question is whether America can remember the ground. Whether it can build a future that is not only spectacular, but stable. Not only ambitious, but livable. Not only exciting, but reliable. Because the future needs power. Not just for rockets. Not just for billionaires. Not just for technology companies, but for homes, hospitals, schools, factories, water systems, families, cities, everything. America does not have to choose between space and Earth, but it does have to stop pretending that the future can be built on a foundation that keeps cracking. Because before